talented
or smart, and my...
He told me enough.
No, I.
Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review. And this review is going to be for a sequel that has come out this summer last month. It's a sequel to a film I have just recently reviewed previously. And when I finally got around to checking out last night, because I've heard great things of this sequel, I've heard it's even better. So I jumped onto it the night after I watched the first film. And that's going to be none other than easily what is 2023's, June 2023's Extraction 2. Once again written by the Russo brothers and once again starring Chris Hemsworth. So, what's the plot of this movie? Well, after barely surviving his grievous wounds from his mission in Dhaka, Bangladesh, Tyler Rake is back and his team is ready to take on their next mission. So, yeah. Here we go. Another simple, basic plot, like the first film. How was it made? Well, in May 2020, it was reported that Joe Russo had been hired to write a sequel to the film with the intention of both Sam Hargrave and Chris Hemsworth returning. And Hemsworth was paid $20 million for his involvement, and in December 2020, the Russo brothers stated that beyond the sequel, they hoped to develop a series of films set within the world of Extraction to not only explore some of the characters that were introduced in the first film, but to potentially launch a cinematic universe. Then in January 2021, it was rumored that the Russo brothers were also working on an origin story of Randy Puda's character Saju. Yeah, so when it came to the filming for the sequel was going to be beginning in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia in September 2021. The measures related to the pandemic moved production to Prague. Then in November 2021, Hargrave announced that principal photography had begun in Prague's Czech Republic, before Hemsworth announced that he began filming his scenes on December 4th. Further shooting then began in Vienna, Austria on January 28, 2022 and lasted until February 14, 2022. Then other scenes were shot in Dono City in the vicinity of the DC Towers. And then, of course, after that, filming had officially completed and wrapped up on April 6, 2022. And when it comes to the cameras they used, the film they used to shoot on the cameras were Arri Alexa Mini LF cameras by implementing the same long take strategies from the first film. And of course, when it came to reshoots for the film took place in Prague in November 2022. So after that film was shot and advertised by Netflix, Extraction 2 would be released onto Netflix platforms on Father's Day weekend, June 16th, 2023. And when it came to the critics, well, the first film got more mixed to positive reviews from critics. This one got positive reviews from critics, better reviews from critics. Not like in the 90% category, but around the 70% mark. Extraction 1, 67%. Extraction 2, 79%. Yeah, and it's been pretty successful on Netflix so far. And as for my reaction, well, I could not wait to watch this movie because I did like the first one after my first watch, and I heard great things of the sequel, so I was pumped. After I had watched the first one just recently, I watched this movie recently, and what can I say is, well, people are right. This easily has to be one of my favorite sequels of 2023, and it's probably one of my favorite Netflix movies yet. The first one is good, but this one is massively better. Because why I say that, the big thing Extraction 2 does better than its predecessor is it doesn't have a yellow or orange filler over every scene set abroad. It's just shot normally, like the first one should have been. I think this one even has much larger scale action sequences, And technically, Extraction 2 is far more technical and very difficult movie to shoot. There are a lot of single frame camera action combined with CGI to create this movie. The first one is a more pure live action. This one combines CGI live action to create over the top action scenes, like the train versus helicopter scenes. And the story got stretched further to open up better platform for the action scenes. Chris Hemsworth truly is an action star in this film, calmly flowing action throughout this overcomplicated physical action. Every once in a while, you come across a movie like Extraction that not only exceeds your expectations, but takes you on a satisfying, heart-pounding thrill ride. Then some people may hope they make a sequel or possibly maybe a spin-off or a follow-up or something. Then you are elated to discover that actually a sequel has been greenlit and put into production, ironically. Then there is the apprehension on whether or not it will live up to the expectation of the predecessor. Then this sequel, like this one, is released, and any doubts or fears of whether the sequel could hold a candle to the original are quickly extinguished. Because this action-packed, high-octane follow-up not only reaches the heights of the original, it blows it out of the water by a score. And you're wondering something. How would they make a sequel if he died? Didn't he die in the first one? Why make a sequel? Well, that's the thing. Yeah, it seemed like he was dead in the first one at the end of the first film, but the movie opens with a rollback and a bit of a recap of the first film's ending where he got shot in the head, fell into the water, and that was the last we saw of Rake. It seemed like he was dying of his injuries, and he takes a reverse swan dive off the Moore Bridge. But then after a period of dying convalescing, some local villagers find him, and he's taken to a hospital for a bit, then gets to go to a cabin for a bit of retirement, but then a man recruits him for another mission. So he's put back into what Rake does best, extracting. His mission this time is to extract his wife and children out from a maximum security Georgian prison from under the nose of a powerful prison gangster. And what ensues is a kinetic explosive roller coaster ride on planes, trains, automobiles, elevators, choppers, all with spent shell castings trailing. This hand-to-hand combat in this flick is brutally entertaining, and the weaponry would make any gun enthusiast salivate. And the car chase sequences are nothing short of spectacular. The cinematography is absolutely jaw-dropping, and moments of Hemsworth's dry Aussie humor and charm will definitely want to make anyone want to visit the land down under. The action sequences in Extraction 2, when it comes to those, they're nothing short of spectacular. Hargrave, known for his background in stunts and as a stunt coordinator, he once again brings his expertise to the forefront, crafting breathtaking set pieces that leave audiences on the edge of their seats. Like from high-octane car chases to intense hand-to-hand combat, every action scene is meticulously choreographed and executed with precision, showcasing Hargrave's mastery of the genre. And a big shout-out to the dynamite Golshifteh Farhani and the slick Anabessa for reprising the roles of the sibling team Nick and Yaz. The chemistry between them with Hemsworth really shines through, and they have the viewers truly invested in their characters. And definitely, another salute could go to director Sam Hargrave for another hard-hitting action flick, and a big thanks for the tiny little Thor Easter egg he has in here. And the locations are excellent too, because much of the film takes place in Donaplet near the famous Donaba River, and the action scenes in a high-res building in the area are incredible, and the producers don't spare any time to make the scenes incredibly realistic, such death, destruction, and mayhem just one local. And when it comes to certain scenes of the movie, there are certain scenes early on where Tyler has hid away into the woods, recovering from his injuries. He splits firewood and throws the axe hitting the trunk of a tree spot from a distance, which is pretty much the little Thor Easter egg right there, because it's shades of his version of Thor hurling his hammer at the Galactic Army in the MCU. Here and of course you also get another Thor Easter egg in here is you actually get a cameo from Heimdall himself, Idris Elba, in 2 scenes. Yeah, because it's a guy who usually recruits Rake for the mission in this movie. Here, so I like Idris Elba actually cameos here. Yeah. And it's also a great cast too. Remarkable performances from Hemsworth, Farhani, Beza, and Gorachani. Hemsworth is different from other action stars because of his depth of because of his sensitivity. And it's something that kind of reminds you of another legendary actor, Pierce Brosnan. And since Idris Elba also cameos in here, it technically feels like a proper reunion for Thor and Heimdall. Right here. And this was honestly the movie Chris Hemsworth definitely needed after that catastrophic failure called Woken Blunder from last year. Remember that shit? That thing that exists? Do some of you who did not retire from the MCU at the time remember that? That abortion. The thing is, last year, Hemsworth starred in a horrendous sequel that ruined an iconic character he played for a long time. With Extraction 2, this is a movie that's an even better sequel that improves on an iconic character he now plays and makes him even better. So it's quite the opposite. Last summer, a bad sequel. This summer, a good sequel. That quickly. And Chris Hemsworth just once again proves his mettle as an action star, effortlessly embodying the role of Tyler Rake. His physicality, charisma, and dedication to the character shine through. It makes Rake a compelling and relatable protagonist. Hemsworth's performance is complemented by a talented supporting cast, includes returning in new faces, adding depth and complexity to the narrative. Here, in the film showcases an outstanding performance by the actor brings the character Nick to life, this movie and the first one show that Hemsworth can actually pull off a great performance when he's done by the right writers and done by the right directors. Right here, he is technically Tyler Rake. Only he can play Tyler Rake and nobody else. Right here. And when it comes to the character of Nick, who's played by Golshift Farahani, he's this complex and enigmatic character who becomes an integral part of Tyler Rake's heroine journey. And Farahani gives this memorizing performance and fully immersing himself in the role of commanding attention in every scene they appear in. And portrayal of Nick is reminiscent of the new sense of captivating character seen in both John Wick and apparently another franchise, Jack Reacher, which I have not seen. And Golshift Farahani brings this magnetic presence to Nick, effortlessly capturing the character's blend of charm, ruthlessness, and unwavering loyalty. Unlike some of John Wick's allies in his franchise anniversary, Nick possesses a mysterious aura, leaving the audience guessing about their true intentions. The actor's ability to seamlessly transition between moments of intensity and vulnerability adds depth to the character, much like the supporting cast in the John Wick franchise. And the chemistry between Farahani and Hemsworth is electric, and it validates their on-screen dynamic to new heights. Their interactions create palpable tension, and the shared history between their characters adds an emotional layer to the narrative. When it comes to the SFX and VFX, they're top-notch in this movie, with the amount of action in the movie is anything but perfect. Visuals and sound effects would have thrown the viewer off, and Extraction doesn't disappoint when it comes to gun battles. Explosions and all manner of things going boom! And much like the first movie, Extraction 2 delivers best-in-class action that's as wild as an 80s movie, yet quite believable. And part of that was not only having protagonists getting shot, but then reaching and getting slower as a result. Again, like those great classic action movies, this one bought exceptional one-liners, but one thing that griped about from the first movie is they don't really spend enough time developing the characters and kind of just more on the action here. However, Extraction 2 develops on the characters, and actually makes some of the emotional scenes far more impactful. What really sets Extraction 2 apart from Extraction 1 is because it has a willingness to explore deeper emotional and moral dimensions. Amidst the adrenaline-fueled chaos, the film delves into Rake's internal struggles and the consequences of his choices, adding layers of complexity to his character, and this exploration adds a welcome depth to his story, elevating it beyond a simple action flick. So yeah, this movie gives Tyler Rake struggles to deal with. Here it gives him flaws. Here it actually makes him more of a character this time around. They do more with his character here. Here it's actually really perfect here. And visually, Extraction 2 is also a feast for the eyes. The cinematography captures the gritty urban landscapes with a stylized and atmospheric approach, creating a sense of realism while still maintaining a visually striking aesthetic, combined with a well-crafted score that amplifies the tension and emotional beats, and the film becomes a fully immersive cinematic experience. The movie is just about how you definitely. This also can have a bit of a moral with this movie. This movie is about how you definitely should not take one's words for granted because you need to observe and listen and make your choice in the end. No matter how close you thought you were to those who give you advice, bad advice is bad advice. Regardless. Good advice is good, bad advice is bad. And what's more, if you go into this movie or go to watch this movie on Netflix, expecting a nonstop crazy stunt-filled, thoroughly entertaining, action-packed piece of greatness, then you should definitely love this. Camera work is superb, the director did a great job, and everyone does a great job with their roles here. This is just purely a mindless action movie that's you can actually just enjoy and have a blast with. Same with the first one. Not something like the Machete films where when you see the Machete trailers, you think you're going to get a fun, gritty, Western-like action movie or exploitation-like action movie with throwbacks to ones from the 70s, but when you see the movie, all it is just political, woke crap. And by political woke crap, I mean the movies just reference the border. Throughout the whole movie, it's just all about them talking of the border and stuff, how they have to defend the border, how they now want to kill Rob De Niro's character because his character apparently hates the border. It's pretty much just all that ended up being was just an election propaganda movie. And it was pretty much, and they were made around the time when Robert Rodriguez's career was about to die. That's not the case here, though. They don't do any of that crap here. Extraction 1 and 2 are just mindless fun movies, much like the advertising makes them out to be, and that's what they should be. Mindless fun, entertaining movies that you can feel like you're back in the 80s again. It's exactly what these two movies are. Unlike with Machete's Kills, which was even worse than Machete 1, Extraction 2 is even better than Extraction 1 and improves on it. Right here. Does things better. So yeah, those expecting a non-stop crazy action stunt filled thoroughly entertaining action-packed piece of greatness, you'll totally love this. The camera work is superb, and the director did a great job, and everyone else does a great job with their roles. Well, there's one character I'll get to now, because I can agree with some problems with the film. First off, one of the characters is really irritated me a lot. And he was probably my biggest bad quality with the film. And that's one of the kids that Ray cast of the woman that Ray cast to escort. This one just annoyed me. The whole movie. Like, dear God, like, this guy was just stupid. He wasn't that memorable of a character, and I forgot most of his character, but I remember him making such stupid decisions and pretty much getting them into more messes and causing more hell for Tyler Rake, who's trying to literally protect his mom and his siblings, get them safer from their evil dad. This guy is just this teen son was an idiot. I could give less of a shit if he died. I'm sorry, guys, but this character was just insufferable to watch. That's my honest opinion on things. And I do feel like the score could have been better. The score, I don't remember any of it, but after finishing the viewing, a great score could have lifted the film even more. And the Georgian brothers are definitely not fleshed out. Their backstory takes a little flashing back to establish what we're to expect from them. And, well, the ending is fine, but I feel like the ending is a bit anticlimactic and too much sequel baiting. How it ends is Nick pretty much arrives, he disarms Zarab's vest while Tyler fights and kills Zarab, and Tyler and Nick are pretty much left wounded as police storm the church. Then in the aftermath, Nick and Tyler are imprisoned, and Mia informs Tyler that Kezavet and her children were moved to protective custody, So there's this, there's that at least, but their assets have been frozen. And Tyler tells her to give them $1 million in cash, to which he had hidden under the floorboards in his cabin. And she assures Tyler that their son died believing his father was a hero. So there is thankfully that. It does thankfully have a better ending for Tyler, where he doesn't die this time, and this time he does survive the whole movie. And Tyler's transported out of prison to meet with the stranger, Idris Elba's character from the beginning. He's coming to him for another job. But Tyler's not going to accept without Nick, and only to find the stranger has bought Nick, knowing Tyler would not go without her. So, yeah, it just kind of ends on a third film setup, but we're probably not going to get for a while, which I'll get to at the end of this review, which you'll know why. But oh well, this movie is still a terrific sequel regardless of those little nitpicks I have. They don't ruin the movie for me. Extraction 2 is even better. In the end, Extraction 2 is totally worth a watch and buy if you love the first film and want to see Tyler alive after being presumed dead. Anyways, that's it for my review of Extraction 2. You're wondering how I'm going to rank Extraction 2? Here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, if you love the first film and want to see more of the character of Tyler, then this will definitely not disappoint you in the slightest, because this sequel is totally worth it and is even better than the first Extraction movie. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Extraction 2, I'm going to give Extraction 2 a 9 out of 10. There we go. That wraps up my review for Extraction 2. And now, you're probably wondering why I said, why are we getting an Extraction 3 for a while? Didn't they confirm it? Yeah, they confirmed an Extraction 3 is in the works, but there was a problem, guys. And I think some of you already, just about all of you know this. The actors are now on strike with the writers. So, yeah, that's why we're not going to get a third one for a while. I'm not going to get into details here. Details of what I think about the strikes are going to be, that's going to be saved for a separate live stream. I don't want to get into that detail stuff here. What I think about that is going to be saved for a live stream. Alright? Because I don't want to make this video too long. I just want this to be a review. And until then, guys, that'll be it for this review. Thank you all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe to Don G. Corleone.